In the previous two presentations in this space, we discussed thematic analysis as an important form of qualitative interview data analysis. Despite its importance and its popularity, thematic analysis has certain weaknesses or pitfalls. So what causes weak thematic analysis? This is the question that we will briefly respond to in this presentation. So as we have already discussed, thematic analysis, as suggested by Brown and Clark, is one of the most widely used forms of qualitative data or interview data analysis. Mainly it is popular because it is straightforward, it does not require the same level of knowledge, skills or expertise as is required for analysis in other data analysis processes, such as in discourse analysis or in content analysis. Despite its popularity, there are certain pitfalls in thematic analysis, and these pitfalls include these 9 possible pitfalls. Number 1, no actual analysis, use of interview questions as themes, weak or superficial analysis, data claims mismatch, theory analytic claims mismatch, insufficient or sample or data presentation, bias, possible lack of transparency, lack of contextual detail or complexity, and insufficient intercoder reliability. We will briefly explain each one of these in the following slides. So the first one, no actual analysis. This actually means that when the researchers just present or paraphrase extracts of data without in-depth analysis or without actual analysis. So in many cases, especially junior researchers, just present data from their empirical from their interview transcriptions without analyzing that, and so that they think that just presenting chunks of data or groups of data without actually analyzing their data in the light of their theoretical or conceptual frameworks is data analysis. That is generally not the case. Second pitfall is use of interview questions as themes. In some cases, junior researchers especially, they analyze and organize their themes in the light of the research questions in a kind of deductive way. But generally, we know that qualitative research is a kind of is mostly an inductive process, especially themes, and so the approach to qualitative analysis generally should be inductive rather than deductive. So when the interview questions are used as themes, what happens is that there is an indication of no actual inductive analysis or pattern identification across data. Thirdly, weak or superficial analysis. What is this? When themes are not coherent and when they are not adequately supported by data or themes, and so themes are not actually representative of most of the data. And the data support is anecdotal rather than substantial. So there is no substantial evidence in the data on a deeper analysis related to the themes. So this kind of analysis is generally considered weak analysis. The next pitfall is data claims mismatch. In many cases, what happens is that the researchers make claims on the basis of data, but in reality, the themes are not matched by data, or in some cases, the data is open to an entirely different interpretation, or in some cases, the opposite interpretation of what the researchers are claiming. So again, lack of care in terms of reaching the theme level without deeper analysis can lead to this kind of mismatch between the data and the claims or themes. Then theory analytic claims mismatch. Here what happens is that the analysis is On the basis of the analysis, the researcher makes theoretical claims, or in some cases, they do the analysis in the light of certain theories. But in both cases, there is a mismatch. Either the theory is not actually representing the themes from the inductive analysis of the data, or generally the data analysis is not representing the theoretical basis on which it is interpreted. So this is something that can lead to the theory analytic mismatch, which is another pitfall. The next one is insufficient sample or data presentation. So what in this case, the pitfall is that the data that is presented as evidence for a theme authentication is not sufficient, and so it is a generally inadequate or superficial kind of representation of the theme in terms of data. The next one is bias, possible lack of transparency. In some cases, researchers make claims on the basis of certain data, but researchers might have certain biases in order to prove their point, or in order to disprove certain things. So if there is this kind of bias, especially when the individual researcher is involved in the data collection and analysis and interpretation process, this is something that can happen. So in order to avoid this pitfall, the researchers need to use the idea of bracketing, so that they do not bring in their own biases in terms of data presentation or analysis or reporting. The next one is lack of contextual detail or complexity. In some cases, data is interpreted in a simpler way without looking into the context in which, or the situation in which the phenomena is taking place, or in which the data has been collected. And so the background in which the data has been collected, the background in which the data sources are located, that is something that is extremely important. So oversimplification or reduction of data complexity to fit generally into pre-planned themes is something that will lead to the lack of contextual detail and lack of looking into the complexity of issues, and that can lead to bias. So interpretation of data without reference to the context is something that is considered as another important pitfall of the thematic analysis. And lastly, the last pitfall that we as qualitative data thematic analysts need to take into consideration is insufficient intercoder reliability. In some cases, there are more than one researchers involved in the process of data collection, analysis, and interpretation. And so if there is lack of a mechanism to ensure intercoder reliability or agreement related to the meaning of a theme or the kind of data that is representing a particular theme, if there is this lack of agreement or a lack of mechanism, then multiple researchers can interpret data in more than one ways, and that can lead to insufficient intercoder reliability, and as a result that can lead to misrepresentation or misinterpretation of the data, and so there will be lack of coherence in the themes across data that is interpreted by different researchers. So this is another pitfall that we need to avoid. So these are some of the important pitfalls in thematic analysis. So as we have already discussed, thematic analysis is one of the most popular qualitative data, interview data analysis techniques, but it has certain pitfalls, and this is a summary of the pitfalls that we need to avoid in order to have authentic thematic analysis.